My name is Gemma, and by the end of this session, the aim is to have shifted you to a place where you're not only owning your guilt-free me time, but you're honouring this time so much so you're never going to want to miss a day and go a day without it. So when was your last time? Was it today? Was it last week? Maybe you can't even remember. I understand in your role with 101 things to do, maybe the me time that you do plan is always the first thing to get bumped off the list. Let me ask you another question. When was the last time you felt stressed? Maybe this one's easier to recall. Maybe it was today, trying to fit some work in between these sessions. Maybe you can't remember the last time you were stressed, which is great. Or maybe you actually enjoy the stress that comes with the role. Maybe you like the fact that your job is busy and varied and it keeps you motivated. You like having busy inboxes and multiple projects and people and tasks to manage. I want you to know that not all stress is bad. But if your job and your boss are not only demanding of your time, but your mental energy too, then eventually stress can begin to build up. And when it does, it's like water pouring into a cup. Eventually it continues to pour and then it pours over. And as it does, you'll begin to feel distracted. You'll try your best to focus, but you'll almost feel a certain unease within the body. You'll be feeling this a little bit more as well if, because of the issue we have at the moment with COVID-19, you might be home working while homeschooling, so you will be feeling this a little bit more than normal. And at the end of the day, you just maybe collapse in front of Netflix, maybe you scroll social media, and then you roll into bed for the whole thing to repeat the next day. How many of you can resonate with that scenario? How many of you can resonate with this scenario even though it's not your reality? It's very common these days to live with that chaos happening at work and this chaos happening at home. So now I want to move you into another exercise. I'd like you to just maybe get comfortable. You can sit in your chair or maybe even move yourself onto the floor. And if you're moving yourself onto the floor, grab a cushion or something to sit on the way down. As you're sitting comfortably, just sit with your back straight and shoulders back and down. Maybe your chin in slightly. We always tend to overextend the neck, so bring your chin in slightly. Then from here, just place one hand on your belly and the other hand on the centre of your chest. Close your eyes if it feels comfortable for you to. Otherwise, just cast your eyes down low. And as you're there, just really focus on the breath, nothing else. As you're listening to my voice, allow the thoughts to arise, of my voice, but only really try and focus on your breath. And when you focus on your breath, just maybe focus on some of the qualities of the breath. And what I mean by qualities are maybe the temperature. What's the temperature on the inhalation and the exhalation? How does it differ? Maybe it's cooler on the inhale and maybe warmed up by the body on the exhale. Just notice when you're inhaling, the belly expands. As you exhale, the belly falls. Just listening to the sounds of the breath, the rise and the fall. And as you are breathing more deeply, extending maybe the length of the exhalation, just notice how when you exhale slowly, it tends to settle down the mind. And settling down the mind settles down the body. Maybe you feel just a little bit more at ease, both mentally and physically. Take one big inhalation. Slowly exhale. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Congratulations. You have just practiced self-care. So self-care is not basic care. It's not doing your basic hygiene regime, washing your hair, taking a shower. It's not also counting your daily steps. Self-care is not a once a year holiday or a weekend away in a beautiful luxury spa. All these things are labelled self-care. And the self-care industry, especially the marketing industry, brands love using the word self-care all over their products. And Harvard Business Review, I think they estimated the self-care industry to be around £11 billion per year. And it's growing. But that's not self-care. Don't get me wrong, I love spa weekends. I love my makeup range. And I love wearing my Fitbit. And I wear it religiously. But I don't want you to assume that that's you doing your self-care. So if that isn't self-care, what is self-care? So self-care is deliberately, consciously taking care of your well-being. And by well-being, I mean take responsibility for your physical, your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual needs with a self-care practice, a daily self-care practice. And remember, self-care isn't being selfish. It's about ensuring you can be your best self, not only for work, but for life too. So what's the risk if you don't take care of your own well-being in your own self? Well, aside from our own health benefits or our health risks, work-related stress is one of the biggest business risks. And the Stevenson Pharma Review on mental health and work revealed that mental health costs the UK economy between 74 and 99 billion pounds per year. So ensuring you have a self-care practice is not only good for you, it's good for business too. Rewind 6 years. And if you asked me, so Gemma, do you have a self-care practice? I would say yes. I was a regular at the gym. I always gave 110% in my gym classes, and I generally ate healthily, or so I thought. I didn't see any issue with maybe knocking back 2 or 3 coffees a day, skipping lunch. Oh, at the time, I was working in a role in central government. My role was a change and transformational lead, and it was a big technical project or program. It was huge, big transformation, very high profile. And I worked very closely with then the director. I used to be writing his communications and managing his stakeholders. It was my first time in government. It was my first change management role and my first high profile role. I was maxed out, if I'm honest. My peers were stressed. And as the change lead, I thought it was my responsibility to make sure that everybody else felt okay. And because my previous career, I was a paramedic and also a health coach, I took it all on. I wanted to save them all. At the time, I was also studying change management and already a mom of 1 child, Sienna, my daughter. And I was pregnant. I was spinning a number of plates. My day would consist of coffee, meetings, coffee, lunch at my desk. In the afternoon, listening sessions or more meetings. Then I'll draft a communication. After work, maybe work a bit late, run home, do the daily commute, racing, hopefully just in time to read my, was then 5-year-old, a bedtime story. Before maybe they're making a quick supper, doing some more studying, and then jumping into bed. That was what I did on repeat. And after 9 months of that cycle of repeating that whole process, I unfortunately had a burnout. But luckily for me, I was just about to go on maternity leave. I'm pleased to share my little girl was born perfectly happy and healthy. So the burnout didn't affect her, which obviously that was my main concern. I was also very lucky that I saved a little bit of money from the contract that I was in at the time. So I was able to take a year off, firstly to recover, and then secondly to reflect. I wanted to figure out how I could help others so they didn't need to go through what I had to go through and what I faced when I burnt out. But if I'm honest, it was a long time coming. I'd been having this lifestyle for about 20 years. I'd always pushed myself physically and mentally. I was what you would call maybe an overachiever. So really it was only time before my body and my mind would probably need some time out. So what did I do in my time out? Well, I remember back in my 20s, I was working as a marketing manager for a consultancy firm. And at the time, I had an executive coach. And I didn't really know much about coaching in those days. I didn't really know what coaching was. All I remember was these coaching sessions were really powerful for me. And I would spend most of the session crying, but then having a really, really powerful experience at the end of it and reflecting on what I was doing and how I could change and how I could implement that change. So I thought maybe I could start there. It seems psychological. So let's start with the psychological. Let's start with the mind. So what I did then, I researched lots of coaching organisations. I didn't want to just do leadership and performance coaching. I wanted to understand what was happening in the mind, but I didn't want to go to therapy and look back. I wanted to look forward. So what could I give my clients or myself initially that will help them to shift forward to a better state? So in business, they can perform while everything around them is changing. How can I thrive while everything around me is changing? That was really my thesis, so to speak. So, I mean, I knew change on a macro level. What I didn't understand change was what was changing on an individual, micro, personal level. So that was what was really leading my research when I was looking for coaching practices. And after countless calls with numerous different coaching academies, I came across a company called the Neuro Leadership Institute. Now, they specialise in neuroscience, social and cognitive neuroscience, and they do it with almost like a layer of coaching. So I trained to be a leadership coach with the Neuro Leadership Institute in brain-based coaching. I thought it was great. So I started coaching my clients. I set up a practice, first of all, started coaching my clients in the science of kind of brain health and brain development and what they could do so they won't thrive. So they can thrive in these organisations. But what I realised after maybe a few months of coaching clients was that something else was off. They were still feeling a little bit frazzled. My clients were becoming more knowledgeable about the neuroscience of their brain and change, how they're wired, but they were still feeling very burnt out. Then the penny dropped. More information on top of an already fried brain is not helping them. It's the equivalent of a car driving at 110 miles an hour down the highway and maybe driving down the highway, but in second gear, smoke blowing out the bonnet, but still expecting a smooth performance ride. It's not going to happen. And my clients were doing the same. I somehow needed to get them back in the right gear. That was my insight. So what did I do? After I trained as a coach, having this insight, I then decided to look into yoga. So I did my yoga teacher training. And after 200 or so hours, I incorporated yoga, mindfulness, and meditation into my practice as well as coaching. I wanted my clients to understand the nature of their reality, as well as what was going on from more of a science point of view. I had to really focus on restoring the nervous system. I had to teach them how experience is created from the inside out, while priming their brain so they can go back into their workplace and work in a fast-paced, changing environment. And it was working. So what else did I learn? I also learned that I used to look after yourself. I had to look after me before trying to help others. And I will share my own self-care practice with you later on. I've got a little video to share with you. But before I do, I just want to ask you another question. You've heard my story. You've heard the pros and the cons for looking after your well-being. So how do you prepare yourself for working in your fast-paced and high-pressured role? Maybe let's take a few moments just to reflect on that question. And if you have a pad and paper, just write your answer down. If you don't have one, don't worry, because I'm going to help you with this in a moment. So we have another exercise to do. So this exercise is actually one from the Neuro Leadership Institute, and they call it the Healthy Mind Platter. What they say is, like we have food categories that, if eaten daily, can provide your body with your optimum nutrition and optimal health, these activities, if practiced daily, provides optimal mental health and performance. So just take a couple of minutes, maybe just to read through the sheet. There's 7 little areas that you need to read. And then just reflect upon your own life, your own lifestyle, and how much time you're able to give each of these categories. So, for example, physical time. You may exercise religiously for 20 minutes a day or go for a brisk walk. Maybe just put 10 or 20 minutes in that category, in that box. So just top of mind, whatever comes to your mind straight away, just note down how much time that you spend on each of these activities on a daily basis. And I'll just pause there and allow you to do that. So, as you will see, there are 7 activities, and they all refer to mental states. So these mental states make up the Healthy Mind Platter. And what I'm going to do now is provide you with a brief overview of each of these categories and why they are so important to include in your daily self-care practice. So let's start with the top. Let's start with sleep time. So sleep has become all around us at the moment. So sleep seems to be high priority. You got all the devices that can help you monitor your sleep. And it's really become popular. Sleep management has become popular and sleep performance over the last couple of years. And there's lots of evidence out there that suggests that sleep deprivation is actually more fatal than food deprivation. So sleep enhances memory, it enhances your creative thinking, your learning, and also helps regulate emotions. So clearly sleep is something we should all take more seriously if we want to be our best selves. Research confirms that most of us require between 7 and 9 hours sleep a night. But for some of us, if we have small children or a demanding job or work different hours, we can't always get that solid block of sleep in one sitting at night. So what else can you do? There are 2 other models that you could follow. The first one is called the siesta model. So the siesta model really means having one block of sleep, so one chunk of sleep between 5 and 7 hours, and then one smaller block of sleep in the day of about 1 hour. That's one model. And the other one is actually having a short breaks, a short sleep periods of no more than 20 minutes. So 20-minute sleeps are seen to provide you with the most alertness afterwards and provide greater performance. So there's 3 different ways there that you could integrate sleep into your daily lifestyle. Second, then, we have physical time. We all know the benefits of being fit and being physical, what it does to our looks, how it feels in the body. We feel fit, we look great. But there are also proven mental benefits too. So exercise increases blood flow to the brain. It improves the functioning of what's known as the prefrontal cortex, and that's this bit of your brain here, the frontal lobe. And a healthy frontal lobe, or a PFC for short, improves your working memory. It improves your response speed, impulse control, which can be great, fingers in the cookie jar, focus, and also supports recovery after an injury or an illness. And it also helps to reduce any stress, anxiety, and depression. So again, exercise is great, not just for our looks and how we feel, but also our mental fitness too. How much do we need? How much exercise do we need? Too much or too little, and you can go either way. So let's look at what the stats say. And the UK clinical chief medical officers from gov.uk, they recommend that adults in the UK need around 150 moderate activity minutes. So we could break that down as 30 minutes a day. So 30 minutes, so you can have a brisk walk for 30 minutes a day, or you can break it down another way and think, well, let's do 2 gym classes or 2 home workouts of an hour, and then have a 30-minute brisk walk. Mentalhealth.org also say that even a short burst, so even 10 minutes of brisk walking or a short burst of exercise, increases alertness, energy, and positive mood. So again, you can think of it in long periods, you can do short bursts. Just moving that body really helps to increase that blood flow to the brain. The next one is focus time. So focus time really is about attention management. And it really refers to a sustained attention on a single task so that you enter what's known as a state of flow. Flow is characterised as being completely engrossed in something, so much so time passes without you even noticing. And you may have already been there. I mean, I get into that place when I'm doing my yoga. But if you're an artist or a drawer, or you're reading or you're dancing, you can enter that state of flow in many, 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 many different ways. Unfortunately, focus time can be very hard to come by, particularly at work. Modern life is full of distractions, and working life, lots and lots of distractions. It's always pinging digital devices, and I imagine in your role you'll have constantly your peers WhatsApping you or slacking you, just trying to get your attention to do things and move tasks and move meetings around. So it's really hard to come by having this dedicated time that you can actually get into that state of flow. But fortunately, hobbies can actually fall under this category. So don't worry if you can't get the flow state at work, because you can get into that mental state outside of work. Time in is another category, and that really is the practice of mindfulness. Jon Kabat-Zinn, he is the founder of the Centre for Mindfulness, and he actually describes this state as paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment and without judgment. So this can include awareness of yourself, your inner life, so your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and your bodily sensations, as well as in the external world. So the benefits of mindfulness are actually extensive. Studies show that when practiced on a regular basis, it can regulate your emotions, enhance attention and creativity, and again, reduce stress and anxiety, improve empathy. It's almost like so many benefits just from focusing your attention just for maybe 10 minutes a day. The issue with this is we can't get into this flow naturally. Whereas if you're, for example, in the last one, if you're drawing or dancing, you can quite quickly get into flow state. Whereas mindfulness is the only state we cannot enter naturally. It needs to be learnt and practiced in order to gain all those benefits that I just mentioned. Downtime is about being in the moment rather than doing something. So mindfulness is a doing activity. Although you're in the moment, you're still doing something. Whereas downtime is something where you have no agenda. You're not trying to be mindful. You're not trying to be or do anything. You're just being very present. And that could be a number of things. You could just be finishing work and you have nothing to do, nowhere to go, no one to be with, and you're cool with that. You're just having some downtime. But you can also consciously have some downtime. So if you're consciously thinking, right, now I've been busy all day, I just need some downtime, what you could be doing is maybe sitting in the comfort of your own lounge and getting a big comfy chair and just sitting there, just enjoying sitting there and not doing anything. That's downtime. But it can also happen in between meetings at work. So you could be, I don't know, in between a task, maybe pick up a magazine and flick through, just not really taking anything in. You're not really reading it. You're not really doing anything. Or it might be listening to some music. You've got music on in the background. You've got it on, but you're not really listening to the words. You're not focusing your pure attention on it. That's downtime. Research has shown that when you take a break from kind of close, effortful attention, so close, effortful attention, it improves your ability to solve problems. So if you have a problem that you're trying to solve, the best thing you can do is not to focus your conscious attention on trying to find the answer. It's best to stop analysing, completely surrender control and completely detach and allow an insight to form. This more reflective mindset allows your brain to get into a different state, downtime state, and therefore new connections can be formed within the brain. So if ever you needed an excuse to have a lazy Sunday morning or a lazy morning in general, now you have one. Playtime. So when we are spontaneous with play, when we're just playful in our own nature, we help to make new connections in the brain. Dr. Stuart Brown, he is the founder of the National Institute of Play, and he says, playfulness enhances the capacity to innovate, adapt, and master changing circumstances. It is not an escape, and it can help us to integrate and reconcile difficult circumstances. And often, it can show us a way out of our problems. So play releases good hormones like endorphins, oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin. And these hormones, they provide some incredible mental health benefits, including improved mood, reduced stress, greater happiness, and a feeling of being more alive. So we tend to think of play as an activity for children, but as you can see, all of those beautiful benefits are for adults to actually appreciate too. So if ever you needed an excuse to have a giggle with your girlfriends, there's one. And last of all, we have connection time. When we connect with people and with nature, we activate the brain's relational circuitry. According to Matt Lieberman, now he is one of the founders of social cognitive neuroscience, he says, our evolutionary wiring predisposes us to be social. So if you remember or recall the last time you had a heartache or fell out of a friend and you felt hurt, he says, well, we feel a sense of physical pain when we're socially rejected. I've got a book here. In his book called Social, I recommend you maybe getting this if you're interested. It's really fascinating. In his book, it's called Social, Why Our Brains Are Wired to Connect. He demonstrates that social connection is a basic fundamental human need, very much like water or food or shelter. So if you fancy calling your bestie or your sister, just know that you're doing the both of you some real good. There's quite a lot in there. There's quite a lot of neuroscience. There's quite a lot to take in. So I'll probably invite you to watch this video again if you think it would be quite helpful, if to absorb some of that information. As you've gone through your worksheet, just notice any areas that you're potentially overdoing or maybe underdoing, so you can kind of bring it all back into balance. So now you know the importance of self-care. You know why it's good for yourself, you know why it's good for work and good for business. I want you to be realistic with designing your own practice, and just to know it's not about being perfect. It's about priming yourself for the day ahead so you can get ahead. So just take any pressure that you may be putting on yourself. That's another thing that you need to do. Now to have a look at this next slide, all these famous people. You may know some of them, some faces. Some of them are from the business world. Some of them are from the film industry. I want to ask you, what do all of these famous, successful people have in common? So the answer, they all give themselves the best start every day. They each have a morning self-practice routine. So what's the best way that you can weave self-care into your day? With a self-care practice, a daily morning self-care practice. And this is one, I will show you one in a minute, I'll show you mine, but this is really good because you can actually weave in 6 of your 7 a day activities. So rather than what I used to do, which would be wake up in the morning and the first thing I would do is reach for my phone, see what messages I've received overnight, maybe what social media are being liked or tagged in overnight. Now I choose not to do that. I consciously don't look at my phone until I've gone through my morning routine. So let me just share this with you now. Now you've seen my self-care practice, what things can you include in yours? And from the video, here are some of the ideas that you might want to include in yours. So first off, I always get up at the same time every day. I always go to bed at the same time every day as well, but I get up at the same time every morning. I then practice 10 minutes of physical yoga, an active yoga. The yoga that I do is an Ashtanga yoga vinyasa, and it really helps get the body and the hormones moving, all those beautiful hormones that are released when you move the body, you get yourself more physical, as well as improve focus, because I'm entering into what's known as flow state when I'm practicing my yoga routine. And then I often spend 5 minutes playing around on my mat. I didn't show it in that video, but I'll spend only 5 minutes or so practicing a skill or practicing a handstand or just doing something a little bit different, just seeing if I can bring out my childlike personality in me. So I might be doing a handstand up a wall or a headstand, or maybe add a little, a crab in there as well, and just really just play around on my mat. And that's what I'm doing. I'm being playful with myself, normally by myself, unless my daughter comes in and then she wants to do some acro yoga with me and we have a little mess around for 5 minutes. That's also cool, it's just different. Then I always end with 5 minutes of mindful breathing. So I'm practicing mindfulness. I'm being mindful of my breathing. I'm focusing on the nature of the breath. I'm focusing on the sound of the breath or the sensations I have in my body. And we did this today. So it helps me stay in the here and the now. And you've already done this. So repeat that mindful breathing, and that's you practicing mindfulness. What else can you do? So you can set your intentions. What I'm writing in my book, I'm reflecting upon what came to me when I was in that focus state, what came to me when I was doing some downtime, what new insights and new learnings, and therefore what am I going to put into practice as a result of those new insights and reflections. And even better, if you want to get the connection state in there as well, you can bring your mat, take your mat outside, do some exercise first thing in the morning on the grass, connect with the earth. And if that's not possible because of the weather, or you live in a flat and you haven't got an outside, or an outside garden, then bring some nature inside. So I always like to have plants everywhere, all over the house, to bring nature to where you are instead. And one thing that I didn't actually talk about in the session today was nutrition. We were looking at the mental states of the healthy mind platter, but a foundation to self-care and a self-care practice would be really to take care of what you're putting into your body. So I generally have a plant-based diet. It's nutritionally dense and calorie poor, and that tends to give me more energy than the traditional diet I used to eat with like meat and 2 veg, a few years ago. So I feel more energized by the food that I'm putting into my body, which really helps me to stay alert and mentally calm and kind of peaceful. Just imagine when we all return back to the office, you have been doing your self-care practice and incorporated some beautiful new habits into your daily practice. You have already cemented it there. It's not going anywhere. You've got a self-care regime. It helps keep you motivated. It helps with your physical appearance as well as your mental performance and your health and all of your well-being. And it also helps you with being able to adapt to changing conditions, changing environments, or just dealing with change in general more effectively, so you don't burn out. Just imagine your peers will be coming to you asking you not only for meetings with the boss, but they'll also be wanting to know what you've been doing with your time since you've been away. If you're thinking maybe you haven't got enough time, just remember it's not about being perfect. Self-care is about intentionally taking care of your well-being. It's about taking responsibility of your psychological, your emotional, physical, and spiritual needs by having a daily self-care practice. It means knowing why you're doing you and why it's important, and then guarding this me time with everything that you have.